I first want you to know that I am most respectful of religion and your religion, even though I have not met you, well, directly, but I think we do know each other. And you must understand this about me. You must understand first and foremost that I am not ever intending to be blasphemous. But you must also know that I am irreligious. I do not speak God. I also don't speak French, but I do not deny the existence of the French language or of the French merely because I don't understand how they communicate. But I've always been fascinated with this subject of God. And I say it like that because I have, since I can remember, loved the theater of the church, the theater of faith, the performers from priests and evangelicals to Hollywood depictions to you name it. The notion of God has fascinated me since I can remember, as does the devil, probably my number one fascination. Not so much in terms of the entity itself, but how people react to it. And as we delve into artificial intelligence and artificial general intelligence, which is really what we're talking about, people are not able to handle what this really means. And I'm listening to people, especially in the various media, try their best to explain how things work. And they talk about things like, will your job be affected? And they confuse AI with robots. But here is the question. As we plumb the depths of intelligence and consciousness, we will abut God. We will come to the framework. We will come to the blueprint, the interstitial mechanism, the workings, the goings on, the nuts and bolts and the gears and the levers of God. And God may be the mastery of the universe, the blueprint of life. I don't know. I can't put that into perspective or into a cogent explanation, but I want to discuss this with you. But first I want to ask you, with all due respect, to please like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell so you'll be notified of live streams and new videos, and please patronize our wonderful sponsor, MyPillow.com. Promo code Lionel gets you a free gift. If you put in the promo code Lionel, you will get a free gift, as opposed to a gift you pay for. I realize, tautology notwithstanding. But when it comes to bedspreads and pillows, of course, percales and sheets and beds and duvets and bedspreads and comforters and slippers in particular, MyPillow.com is the place to go. It's a wonderful organization. It's a wonderful product. It's American-owned, and you will love their stuff. We are a MyPillow home. So MyPillow.com, promo code Lionel, and please sponsor them. They sponsor us, and the products are exquisite, especially the slippers, believe it or not. Now, as we delve into this, many people I know who are most devout don't like me to get into this. They don't like even discussing God. As you know, some people do not even spell out the name God. They'll put G with a line and D. And I respect that. I mean no harm. Whatever you call the mastery, the interstitial glue, the architecture, the circuit board of universal thinking, whatever you call this, I call it God. And you are going to get deeper and deeper and more connected to the notion of what God is when you understand what consciousness is, what learning is, what makes something conscious. Think about this. Nobody ever talks about looking at the absence of something to determine what it was before the item was absented. What do I mean? Years ago, people found out, especially neurologists, that the best way to find out what parts of the brain were for was to look at people who were damaged in that part of the brain and see what the attendant result was. Remember that dude whose name escapes me, Phineas J. Whoopi or whatever, he was hitting the railroad spike. There was a charge. It exploded, went through his eye, went through his orbit, and basically provided the first lobotomy. And he was fine. Well, as fine as one could be with a steel rod in one's brain. So someone said, this part must be such and such because we have ablated it. So when we look at what, let's assume this is a conscious item and I kill it, now it's unconscious. What is missing? Consciousness. If you can figure out what consciousness is by what is absent, it's like weigh it afterwards. That thing that's not there, that was consciousness. What does that mean? To be conscious, to be aware, to remember. You can look at the Bloom's levels of thinking, and it's the most incredible story, and I believe it's towards God. What is God? People talk about what are we really getting to? When we talk about machine learning and then machines and then artificial intelligence, when we get into reason and that which makes us human, what makes us human? What makes us, and you can say the soul, and you might ask, does an artificial intelligence machine, it's not really a machine, it's the intellectual, so to speak, firepower of said machine. That's AI. But is it human? Well, it's not human. Does it have a soul? I would venture to say, pursuant to strict biblical references, I would say no, it's not. Because certainly the Bible did not envisage something of this particular note. But does that mean that it can't? Does that mean that various iterations of life cannot be expanded in terms of their soul possession as we understand more? Does a little puppy have a soul? What is a soul? Is that human only? I'm not trying to be dense here. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I want to know these questions. I would think a soul is one of the things that makes something animate. It makes it alive. Before we get to consciousness, is a barnacle alive? Does it have a soul? Is a yeast cell, budding yeast cell, is a mold alive? Is a virus alive? Technically, no. A virus is nothing but the transmission pellet, if you will, of DNA material. It makes us think about what isn't life, what isn't consciousness. And I say, what is and isn't God? When you keep digging and digging, look what we've done with in vitro fertilization. Look what we've done with test tube babies, and look what we've done with trying to create life. We're going to have artificial wombs, probably have them right now, a womb with a view, as we speak. And eventually, when someone is able to figure a way to replicate, to reverse engineer a spermatozoa and the ovum, we are going to have, talk about ultimate in transhumanism, a hybrid human being, a prototype of a new function of life, a cousin of human life. It won't be the product of human sperm and human egg uniting in utero. But if it looks just alike as us, could it not be that Almighty God would say, I gave you the intelligence to create this, so this, by virtue of what I gave you, is me. This is human. This is a hybrid human. This is a human variant, a human, but it is of a soul. It is me. I made this. I did. This is me. Because I gave you the ability to come up with this. I gave you the ability to think of this. I gave you the power, one would argue. And then you get into something interesting, which is really, really wild. And this is perhaps a subject we're going to talk about next, soon. As we explore more and more extraterrestrial biological entities, EBEs, aliens, extraterrestrial life forms, critters, things that we fly, things that we believe are Roswell in nature and all of that, we and this is important to note, we must ask this question, and the Vatican astronomers thought about this. Would these new forms of life have original sin? Meaning, would they require being born again, redemption? Are they born absent the stain, Adam's stain, or not Adam's, Cain's, whatever the particular biblical besmirchment is, but that which requires us to seek salvation, to be rid of this indelible, almost a priori sin. If you aren't amazed, as am I, by the questions that this will make us consider, you're missing something which is so great and so grand that I love. That is all, my friends. Please, no disrespect. No, I am not an atheist. I don't know what that means. Without theism, why do I have to have a name for something that I am not? If you ask a Muslim, are you a non-Christian? Yes. Are you a non-theist? Well, no. So you're not an atheist? Well, no. What about a Buddhist? Would he be an atheist? Well, technically speaking, it's not theism. It's not a God. So the same way you would deal with somebody who's not a Christian, you should be able to deal with me. Same thing. The same way. You wouldn't deny discussing with a Jew or a Muslim or Zoroastrian. No. So we can talk about these subjects without necessarily playing on the same team. Thank you for watching. Thank you. Please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. Please hit that little bell so you're notified of live streams and new videos. And don't forget our sponsor, our dear friends at MyPillow.com, promo code Lionel. And please, I ask you now to be cordial, to be kind, to be open, to be sapient, to be sentient, to be brilliant, to be inane, and comment as you see fit.